He can, coming! He can!
Toronto are heading for Super League.
2019 Betfred wins Super League champions. The Leeds Rhinos. Absolutely fabulous.
Saints are champions of Super League again.
Hello and welcome to the Last Tackle, Betfred's Rugby League magazine show. This is what we've got for you this week. We look back at an explosive Betfred World Club challenge.
They're the best in the world.
We review the highlights from round 4 of the Betfred Super League.
Space to Johnson in the corner. Oh my word.
And we look back at the 4th round of the Challenge Cup. And as always, we vote on Try of the Week. All this in the company of Warrington's assistant coach Andrew Henderson and Saints legend Paul Sculthorpe. Scully, only one place to start, the Betfred World Cup Challenge. Before we talk about the match, can we just say what a great event it was on Saturday night?
I think it was a great spectacle, and congratulations to Saints for the show that they put on, and Roosters as well for buying into it. I think everything that you see was real positive, and you know, listening to Trent Robinson and what he thinks of the concept. It's only going to strengthen this going forward.
And Andrew, we want to see this World Club Challenge every year, don't we?
Absolutely. I mean, for me, it's got to be the pinnacle of the game, isn't it? The two best sides in the world in their respective competitions coming head to head. I mean, I know there's talk and there's argument about when it should be played and should it alternate year to year, whatever. But the reality is we need to keep it in place. I think it's a fantastic and prestigious event that you could really market and really get behind, and ultimately decides, you know, which team or which club is the best in the world. So I think it's a fantastic concept that we need to continue.
Well, let's look back. It was St Helens, the best team in the Betfred Super League, versus the Sydney Roosters, the best team from the NRL.
It may have started with pyrotechnics, but it was good old-fashioned prop forward power that opened the scoring as Luke Thompson crashed over for St Helens.
Thompson gets the ball down. Saints get the first try of the night.
Sydney certainly knew they were in a rugby league game, but they also know how to find the line. Dan Tupu getting them on the board before Joseph Manu followed up shortly after to give the Roosters the lead at the break.
But the threat isn't over here. They've got the numbers. They've got the try. It's Joey Manu. Got the post, in fact. This one looks more promising. Oh dear. What are the odds of that?
Saints started the second half brightly, but despite a number of very good chances, they were unable to break down the Sydney door. Then, with just over 10 minutes remaining, Sydney showed why they're the best in the world. Luke Keary racing over to wrap up the win for the Roosters. Alex Walmsley scored a late consolation, but it was a case of what might have been for St Helens.
They're the best in the world.
The scoreline does not do that justice.
Obviously disappointing for us. I think it was a great load of effort. You know, it was a good performance. You know, all the effort was fantastic. I think obviously clinical nature, they showed us a bit more how to be a bit more clinical, and that's what we've got to learn from. But I think we got a bit rushed in trying to get points at times, and sometimes just going to let it build, let the team kick in, and we're a bit hit and miss on that in the second half in terms of we still had time on the clock, and I think try to force it. But it's hard in the flow of the game. You know, something not presents, you try and play it.
Yeah, feels pretty good. Obviously, it was a tough game. They came out to the full 80, and it was a tough start that first half. They were over us a bit, and we had to regroup a bit. And yeah, credit to the boys who stuck solid.
And you had to work hard, a tough game in tough conditions, and a vocal crowd tonight as well.
Yeah, the crowd are into us, very loud, and not something we're sort of used to back in Australia. So the atmosphere was awesome, and yeah, obviously it was a bit sloppy the game, a few errors, a lot of penalties, but the boys did well.
Can't be much happier. You came over, got the job done.
Yeah, definitely. It's a good start to our year. As I said, it's a good finish to our last year to top it off with this win, and obviously a few new players this year, so it's a good start to 2020.
How significant is it to go back to back? You're also now the most successful club in the history of the competition.
Yeah, it's pretty. It's good to be a part of the history. Obviously, sort of come over here and sort of have the pressure of come up against such a great side. I don't think it's been done to go back-to-back twice World Club champions, so it's awesome to do it with a great bunch of players.
So it finished St Helens 12, Sydney Roosters 20. That's a record 5th World Club challenge for the Roosters. Scully, what went wrong?
It was a tough game. It was always going to be a tough game. I think Saints were clearly underdogs going into the match. Sydney the best team in the NRL for the past 2 years. But what an account they gave themselves, Saints. I know we speak about players that were missing. Saints had a few strike players missing, but so did Roosters. But I think the guys that went out there, give it everything. There was certainly no lack of effort. I think we look at the opportunities that they had, and they certainly had opportunities to score and to possibly win the game. And I think it's a lesson learned in execution and a bit of composure. And I think that's where the difference told.
It was only 6-8 at half-time to Roosters. It was 6-8 for ages in the second period as well.
Yeah, I mean...
so that was banging it, weren't they?
Yeah, they were more than banging it, and quite a lot of the second half was dominated by Saints in regards to field position and try scoring opportunities. As I say, it was more often that last pass that just went to ground, and I think some of that, this game was a step up in intensity above a Super League game, and I think for some of these players that was different, and maybe it's in a time of you're only going to get so many opportunities. That bit of panic really in trying to score before you're ready to, and a few errors. But as I said, no lack of effort, and a lot of young players out there, the likes of James Bentley, Matt Costello, and Jack Wellesby at fullback. It's only going to aid their development in their careers.
Could you argue that Saints weren't clinical enough?
Oh, that is the reason that we didn't.
It could have been a different story.
Yeah, and the difference is when the Roosters got the opportunity. They were 20 minutes under the cosh in their 20. They get an opportunity. Some say a forward pass, it's dubious on the ref's call, and they go the full length and score through Luke Keary. And I said to Endo before, they did a Saints on Saints. That's what we've done in Super League at that level. For years on end, absorb pressure, and the class teams, execute when they get the opportunity.
Is this possibly the difference between the Super League and NRL? That the NRL has possibly got the intensity more every game?
Yeah, there's a debate about that, isn't there? A lot of people say the NRL, is probably a more intense competition, week in, week out compared to the Super League, through the standard and quality of players and other things that go with it. But then you speak to a lot of players too that have come over from the NRL and come to the Super League, and they really talk up the intensity and the quality of the Super League. So I'm not too sure. I think what you're seeing here in this match here, if you've got two of the best teams in their respective competitions. I think Paul alluded to it there, where St Helens are probably used to being such a dominant force in this competition and things sort of going their way. Now they're facing an opponent who can not only match them but obviously potentially get the better of them, and it's a different ball game for them because they haven't been challenged in that way week in, week out. I think that's the difference. Whereas you could probably find in the NRL the Roosters are challenged a lot more than potentially what St Helens are being challenged week in, week out in the Super League. Not to say that there isn't some comparisons in intensity levels within both competitions, but I think that's the difference. And then the quality of the Roosters that showed on the night, that's their first game. Let's not forget, they haven't had any friendlies or anything yet. That's their first game of the season. Saints have had a few games to go yet, and have had that opportunity to get a little bit of cohesion going with a few games under the belt. But what you saw there was the true quality of that Roosters side. As Paul said, they were able to absorb pressure. They weren't their best on the night, but when their opportunities came, they were clinical and they executed well. Whereas Saints, on the other hand, probably felt that pressure a little bit more. They had some fantastic opportunities in field position, and unfortunately just couldn't find the final pass or that final part of skill under pressure to get across the white line. But hey, as Paul said, they'll take a lot from that experience. They certainly did discredit themselves, St Helens, but it was a great victory there for the Sydney Roosters.
Yeah, totally agree. And I think we've not got to underestimate the strength of our game. And this is something that Wayne Bennett always said to the England players is, we look at some of the players now that have come from Super League, some of the English-based players who are playing in the NRL, and they're not just surviving. No. They're thriving, and they're some of the better players in the competition. I think where the difference is like Endo said, is that challenge every week in, week out, and it's probably the pool of players that they've got to choose from.
Let's give credit to Trent Robinson. Fantastic before the build-up to this game and fantastic after the game as well.
Yeah,
a credit to
I've always been a fan of Trent. You know, I spoke to him, got the pleasure of speaking with him when he was over when he was coaching the Catalan Dragons, and great bloke. You know, you can see his man management, but then you see him on Sky on the touch screen after the game, and his knowledge is second to none. You know, he's one who wants quality in everything he does, and the little subtleties and the detail. And you can obviously see that with the quality and the consistency that his teams play at.
Let's just turn it around to a positive for Saints then. They're going to have learnt from that experience.
Yeah, they are, mate. It's a massive positive. I think the game was a massive positive. You know, they are going to learn from it, but they give a great account of themselves as well. The game could have easily swung the other way. You know, we had plenty of opportunities, and we created them opportunities. You know, and I speak of two guys up front, Luke Thompson and for me Alex Wanzer was one of the best players.
Scored the first try and the last try.
Yeah, one of the best players on the field, from both sides, and there's a lot of positives to be taken from that game.
And a quick word on Luke Thompson, he's going to be a miss next season.
He is going to be a miss. It's a great opportunity for him to go and play in the NRL with the Canterbury Bulldogs, and he's took that opportunity. But all his focus this year is obviously on leaving Saints, hopefully with 3 trophies.
So it was Saints versus the Roosters in the Betfred World Club Challenge, and the Roosters came out on top. But we also had some Super League action as well. Let's look back at round 4.
Wakefield hadn't won in 13 attempts against Castleford, but Joe Westerman got them off to the perfect start at the Jungle. Didn't take long for the Tigers to hit back. Chase Blair on the end of a Paul McShane kick before Daryl Oldfirst put the home side ahead on that right edge. Wakefield were very much still in the game though, even more so when Tom Johnston produced this contender for try of the season. But it was ultimately to no avail, however, as Castleford continued their strong start to the season, running out 32-15 winners. Huddersfield took the league's only 100% record with them to East Hull, and the Giants looked good value for it when Lewis Senior opened the scoring. Minutes later, Simon Wolfer's side again looked to that left edge and rewarded when Gaskell found space and found his way to the line. By the time Paul Clough forced his way over, the Giants' third win from 3 looked all but confirmed. Ben Crook's try proving only a consolation for the Rovers. Toronto Wolfpack's search for that elusive first Super League win goes on as they fell short against Warrington, Josh Charnley opening the scoring. Gareth Widdop seems to be settling in nicely to life in the Betfred Super League. He opened his Warrington Wolves account midway through the first half. Then a landmark moment for Matty Ashton, the Warrington Wolves youngster back in the side and showing great speed to score his first Betfred Super League try. Matty Ashton's effort sparked something of a comeback for the Toronto Wolfpack, but last season's Challenge Cup winners would prove too strong for the Super League new boys. The Sulphate Red Devils have struggled to recreate their 2019 form so far, but Niall Evalds got them off to the perfect start against Leeds before Tui Lolohea scored against his former club. Leeds have looked much improved in their win against Hull KR, and the Rhinos looked better again once Luke Gale had scored on the stroke of half-time. Rich Lagar's side started the second half well, and tries from Briscoe and Oletsky taking them to the win at the AJ Bell Stadium. 2 of the early strong starters met in Wigan as Hull FC took on the Warriors. Both teams flexed their muscles early on with impressive, long-range tries. It was Wigan who had finished stronger though, and Don Manfredi marked his return to injury of a try as the Warriors went on to win. Those results leave Huddersfield, Wigan and Cass at the top with 3 wins each. Toronto stay rooted at the bottom of the Betfred Super League.
Entertaining round 4, and the Saints will play the Catalans at the later date. That was their round 4 fixture. Right, the Warrington's assistant head coach is alongside me, and Toronto gave you a scare because you were 16-0 up, and it was 22-all at one point.
Yeah, you're exactly right there, Mark. Look, it was a strange game for us. Obviously, we were coming off the back of a defeat last week against Wakefield. It was important for us as a group that we got ourselves back on the horse and got ourselves a result and a performance. The way we started the game was outstanding. We really came out of the blocks. We executed well to the game plan. Scored some fantastic tries. I think we went 16-0 up, and after it was about the 25 minute mark, and then it just started to turn a little bit. We started to get a little bit comfortable, was probably the word, and started to maybe push a few passes, flick a few out the back door that weren't quite on. And what that did was it just gave Toronto a little bit of an opportunity with some field position. We saw our discipline start to wane, in terms of giving away a few cheap penalties, which then allowed them some more field position. And finally, they got over the whitewash 16-6. Then they got a cheeky try before half time. It was a calamitous event. So it was a bloke in the ruck, and then it was play on, and then a bloke knocked it down, but it was play on, and then Toby Kim tries to offload, and it just goes in the hand of Andy Ackers, who happened to be there poaching it, and all of a sudden it's 16-12, and Toronto got their tails up at half time, and it was one of these games that could have been a dangerous one for us, Mark, because Toronto, there's been a bit of pressure put on them in terms of they're not probably achieving what everybody thought they might have achieved so far at the start of this season. Their backs are against the wall. We know they've got a limited number of players, so I think they came in with that bit of a carefree attitude of whatever, we're not expected to win, we're not expected to do anything, we'll throw the ball around. They offloaded at will, and they created us some problems, to be honest with you. But what I am really pleased with was the start of our game, not so much the middle of it where we allowed Toronto to get back in, and as you're about to say, it was 22-all there at one point, and I think we had about 15 minutes to go. But what we did do in that last sort of 15 minutes, we really sort of got ourselves back on track.
A couple of penalties for Stephen Ratchford.
And then we just got ourselves, got that composure back within our game, got back on task, and were able to close the game out. So wasn't the most prettiest in terms of the overall performance, some really good parts to it. Pleased to get the result because it was much needed after the loss last week, but some encouraging signs for Toronto, I have to say, because they did at times trouble us, certainly when they got their offload game going and played that sort of off-the-cuff sort of style of rugby. They look dangerous, mate.
I think teams like that are difficult to play at. And when you give them a few backups and the confidence grows, but they are a team who love to throw that ball about. I seen a stat yesterday that of the 10 top offloaders in Super League, they've got 4 of them. So they love to throw the ball about. They love to play that second phase stuff, and when they get on the front foot and they're playing with confidence, they can cause you problems.
The outstanding try, Matty Ashton.
Yeah.
What a sign. Look, we talk about these big signings in the summer. In the pre-season. What about Matty Ashton from Swinton?
Yeah, he's been
great signing.
A great little gem for us, and that's you've always got to look for those gems, don't you? They are there. They're out there. If you look hard enough, you can find them. They're in the Championship. They're in League One. You can find them. They're out there. So, look, we were tipped off about him early in the season last year. Stuart Littler, who's a friend of mine, tipped me off about him, and I passed it on to the powers that be at the club. We kept monitoring him, and then obviously we made the decision to make a bid for him, and we're thankful that we've got him, and he's had a fantastic start to life in Super League. It's all very new to him, full-time training, and he's never come through any sort of system before, so it is new to him, but he's learning very, very quickly. Still has a lot to learn, as we know, but it's been an exciting few early rounds for him.
I think he surprised me how much he can handle the physicality.
Yes.
We all know he had lightning
he's
speed.
not the biggest. He's not the biggest.
I mean, you see, I think the previous week, one of the games, and he's blitzed through two of the middlemen.
Yes.
With strength, and he's not the biggest. We know he's lightning on his feet, but he really gets stuck in and causes problems. He's an outstanding find.
A word on Toronto, Scully. That's played for, lost for, but probably doesn't tell the whole story.
No, it doesn't. I think there was always going to be challenges. Listen, a lot of the press and the PR over the off season was about Sonny Bill, was about one player.
Yeah.
Whether they've got that strength throughout the squad to compete with the top boys
that was always the question, wasn't it?
And that's the big question. And I think that's proven early on in the year. They've not got the biggest squad. That's been mentioned as well, and have since picked up a number of injuries. Hence, they're having to take players on short-term loans now. So, it's a challenge for them. But you can't question their commitment and their efforts at the moment.
Should there have been just a bit of a discussion for both of you gents? Should there have been something in place for Toronto. You know, you look back to when Catalans, when they came into the Super League, and they got almost a 3-year exemption from being relegated to allow them to consolidate as a club in the next tier and build. Should something be done there for Toronto as well?
It's probably a whole new show, that.
Yeah, but you know what I mean?
I think Toronto have been brought in for a reason. You know, they were allowed into the Championship because it'd be great to have a strong Super League team, you know, and spread a game. It's a controversial subject because, you know, there's teams in the heartland that are not getting the support that maybe Toronto would have. But I want to see a strong Toronto in Super League. So whether that exemption, you know, to do that and compete in year one is always going to be difficult.
That's right.
Quickly about Toronto, Brian McDermott though, been there, seen it, done it.
Yeah, I mean, Brian's got all the experience, both as a player and obviously a very successful coach with London and Leeds Rhinos. So, you know, I'm sure he's got a lot more to give at Toronto.
All right, other matches to talk about. One of your old clubs, Castleford, they went behind against Wakefield and then came back. Great winners in the end, 32-15.
Great win for them, and obviously disappointing for Wakefield because they would have been on a high after beating us the week before, and I think probably went in there with a bit of confidence they could have got the job done, and they started well, Wakefield, didn't they? They really came out of the blocks well in the game, but Cass just again showed that pragmatic and dogged approach that they've got. They never give in, do they, Cass? They're a nuisance of a team. I always find that when you play them, and you know, they just stuck to their process, and like I said, they found a way to get on top of Wakefield, and once they did, they ran out comfortable winners in the end. Disappointment for Wakefield though, as I said, after the great win against us the week before.
Huddersfield, the only unbeaten side, winning the whole KR.
Yeah, what a difference to them. I mean, you can just see him growing in confidence week after week. Obviously, Eden Caesar's made a big difference to them. I think just giving him that bit more direction. You know, in his influence on other people's games, not necessarily always about what he does, but having somebody who's, you know, he's got all that experience and
he's a threat, isn't he? He's a threat. You know,
he's a threat.
Take the line on, he can pass, he can kick. He's
good kicking game.
Salford leads, Salford 8-0 up, and Leeds beginning to get it together a bit.
Yeah, I think Leeds have showed some encouraging signs so far this early part of the season. You know, an emphatic victory the week before at home against Hull Kingston Rovers. You know, a real good attacking display from them. And like I said, that was tough conditions on Saturday, Mark. The rain was teeming down. It was a real one of them sort of a war of attrition type game. And like I said, Salford got off to a really bright start, but then just fell away. But fair play to Leeds. You know, I think they got to try just before half time. Probably injected a bit of life into them to come out strong in the second half. But again, they showed real, I thought, patience is probably a good word, and character to be able to come through and get that result against.
I think Leeds have gone through that transition period. You know what all clubs have been through in over the years, and you know, you're seeing some of their young players now bearing fruit. One who stands out for me is young Harry Newman.
Yeah, he's been great,
centre. He's definitely one to watch. You know,
agreed with that.
You see signs of a Paul Newlove in him in years to come.
And very quickly, Wigan, Hull. We mentioned it at the start of the season. Hull's inconsistencies, and it's come back already.
Yes, yeah. I mean, the way they started, and you know, we talked them up, but you know, their last 2 weeks they've had 2 defeats to Saints and Wigan. Where if you're going to compete for trophies and silverware, they're 2 of the teams that you've got to beat.
So, cracking fixtures in round 5 of the Betfred Super League, including first versus second. Yeah, so top of the table, Huddersfield take on Wigan on Sunday. And who'd have thought it, Scully? At the start of the season, we'd have said the only unbeaten side would be Huddersfield.
Yeah,
no offence, Huddersfield.
No disrespect at all, but we didn't expect that, and all credit to Simon Woolford and his players. They've come out of the blocks this week. They've got a big challenge on their hands in Wigan, though. They're really starting to put things together. Obviously, a great win against Hull FC, and it's a difficult place to go. Is Huddersfield as well. And you mentioned him early on. Aidan Caesar looks a great sign. Yeah, he's just given that direction, that talisman, leadership, and obviously he's having an influence on all the players. You look at Lee Gaskell and some of the stuff that he's doing off Caesar. It's probably. Caesar's allowed him to just go and play. Yeah. I'll control field position, control the kicking game. You go out and play. Lee Gaskell's a runner, and he's causing problems to teams. Thursday night live on Sky, Hull KR versus Castleford. Hull, the injury list is getting worse and worse, isn't it? Matt Purcell now out. Yeah, that's a big loss for them. Obviously, one of their senior players with experience. It could be a long year for Hull KR. They've had some big injury problems already, and it's not going to get any easier this week against Castleford. They've got a couple of players back as well, Adam Milner and Jesse Senlafayos, two of their big names. Friday night, you travel to Leeds, live on Sky.
We do. So, big challenge for us. Obviously, Leeds, as we know, are on the up at the moment. They're playing some pretty good rugby league football. So, we know we're going to have to be better than we have been in probably the past 2 weeks. We need to get back to that sort of form we were showing in the first two rounds of the season, where I thought we were delivering 80-minute performances there, albeit we lost one, we won one, but I felt our sort of commitment to our level of performance was excellent. So, we've seen signs of that in patches the last two games. So for me, it's about getting. Do you think that's a mental thing then, though? Because you look at your performance against Saints, and that's a game that you've got to get up for, and the players are going to be up for. It's a derby match. It's top of the table. And I thought the performance that Warrington put in that week was exceptional. Yeah, I totally agree with you. And it's something we have addressed as a group behind closed doors, that we do have to make sure that we have that same sort of attitude and that same sort of focus going into these sort of games as much as we do when you're playing the arch rivals that are just down the road from you. So, it's something we have to address. And like I said, hopefully this week we'll be back on form and we can upset the apple cart and get a win away from home. Your beloved Saints away to Toronto, playing at Halliwell Jones. Yes, not far to travel. Away to Toronto, but in Warrington. Hey, that's a bit of a Super League issue. Yeah, it's a big challenge. Obviously, Toronto will come in confident on the back of what they showed in patches against Warrington. Saints, the big challenge is getting up mentally after such a big game. It's like playing after the back of a cup final. Is getting that intensity back up to what they needed this week. But I think, encouraging, and there's a lot of things to obviously, the Christian Wolf will be speaking about improvements from weekend, which they'll be looking to take into this game. That's also live on Sky as well. Hull versus Catalans, two inconsistent teams. Yeah, you've hit the nail on the head there. Both teams, like I said, have been inconsistent in recent seasons, and again, both will be searching for the win. Catalan travelling away from home. We've always spoke about their struggles on the road. Can they race for a performance? Hull back at home generally have been pretty good so far at home, so they need to lift that performance. It could go either way. I'm tipping a Hull win at home. I think Hull will be too strong on the day at home for the Catalan Dragons, but both teams, I think, for me, are desperate to get some form and consistency if they're going to be serious about challenging at the back end of the season. And finally, also on Sunday, Sulphate versus Wakefield. Both teams just one win. Yeah, I know it's early days, but I'm sure Ian Watson will be looking for his team to piece together an 80 minutes what I think they showed in the first 20 last week. For them, it's just doing that and doing it consistently. Wakefield, they'll be looking to bounce back. Say a great win against Warrington, but then and a great first half against Castleford, went in 15-14 up. That's right. But the wheels kind of fell off. So Chris Chester will be looking for a big performance this week. I think it's going to be a great game, this one. I really do, because you've got two teams for me that are desperate. There's a bit of desperation with these two teams, and this is probably a game or a fixture that they're probably thinking, no, both teams will be thinking this is one we can definitely win, and I think it's going to make for a real. I think that's it. I think there's certain teams that these teams will look against and go, if we're to compete at the end of the year, these are the games that we've got to win. Absolutely. No games in the Championship this week. It was the fourth round of the Challenge Cup. Let's look back at some of the matches, including the big win by York away at the London Broncos.
Centurions have been firing all cylinders in the league in 2020. They took that form into the Cup against Batley. Liam Hood opened the scoring before Thornley crossed twice, and Hickson added this effort for the Leifers. Barrow travelled to Featherstone looking to cause an upset, and the Raiders were not far off in Yorkshire. Luke Creswell opened the scoring on 3 minutes, and there was nothing to split the two teams as they were in 10-all at the break. When former Salford Red Devil Jordan Warne gave the Raiders the lead in the second half, the upset looked on. Featherstone weren't sticking to the script, however, and Carey's late try was enough to secure them safe passage into the next round. London Broncos and York served up a cup classic in the capital. The Broncos led 12-0 early on, but the Knights hit back to lead just after the break. However, with an hour gone, it was London who were back in front, only for York to stun them with a late try to send them safely through to the fifth round. The draw for the fifth round of the Challenge Cup throws up a trip to Wakefield for Bradford, with Lee travelling to Hull KR.
Yeah, so congratulations to all the teams left in the Challenge Cup. So we have Wakefield, Toronto, Huddersfield and Hull KR joining. And then when we get to the sixth round, the rest of the Super League join the Challenge Cup as well. Scully, we've got an all Super League tie for Toronto Wolfpack versus Huddersfield. The match will be played at Huddersfield.
Yeah, I think a great tie for the neutral. Obviously, two of the Super League teams, drawing each other, and yeah, it'll be interesting to see how this game goes. Obviously, it's top v bottom in Super League, but sometimes you have a bit of a different mentality about the Challenge Cup. I'm not saying Toronto are not going to compete in Super League for silverware this year, but it's a different trophy. It's all about the 80 minutes at hand, whether you go through to the next round. And how many times over the years have we seen teams perform differently in the Cup than they do in the league? So it's set to be a great game. It'll be interesting to see how the Wolfpack go against the high-flying Giants.
And York, that great result away at London Broncos, and have got a home tie against Rochdale. They'll fancy out and then think, get one of the big boys at home.
Absolutely. I think full credit there to York, to go down to the capital, and especially that their league form hasn't been at its best so far this season. They haven't started the league campaign as they probably finished last year in the championship. So to go there not in probably the greatest vein of form and beat a London Broncos side that has been in really good form so far in the opening rounds of the championship, at London as well, that's no mean feat. The Broncos have created a bit of a fortress down there at Ealing Trailfinders. So that's a huge result for the York City Knights, and like you said, a thoroughly deserved a home tie. And like you said, I'd say be licking their lips a little bit. They've drawn Rochdale. Don't get me wrong, they won't disrespect them. I still know that they'll prepare that professionally to get the result done. But I think it's probably been a good, kind tie for them. And like you said, hopefully they'll be in the next round of the Challenge Cup and maybe attract one of the big boys.
4 unbeaten sides in the Championship at the moment: Leigh, Toulouse, London and Featherstone. And London entertain Featherstone this weekend. There's 2 games live on our league app: Swinton and Leigh on Sunday and Dewsbury versus Widnes. They're both live on the Our League app. And League One starts this weekend as well. Last season, Newcastle Thunder were just 80 minutes away from the Championship. Let's hear from their coach, Simon Finnegan.
First full pre-season as a Thunder boss under your belt. Happy?
Yeah, reasonably. Yeah, I mean, in terms of the fitness and where we're at that stage, yeah, I'm really happy. But you're never really truly happy till you get into the season. So we might look good on the training field and all them type of things and ticked all the boxes I wanted to, but until we start playing games, I can't say I'm fully happy.
Just missed out on promotion last year. How close do you think you were?
Oh, well, 80 minutes. We probably closer than that. The game was in the balance till the end, really. So it's disappointing. But as I said to the players after the game, I don't think we were quite ready, and I stood by that, and I don't think we were. I don't think we were ready to really get in the championship and have a go. I've said since I've joined, you know, I want to get promoted. I don't just want to get in the championship and survive. We want to kick on and see where we can get to. So in terms of that, we weren't quite ready, but we were a game away from getting promoted. So if we did, I would have took it. So yeah, disappointing, but we go again.
You better off for it though.
I think so. Yeah, that's a better phrase. Yeah, we're better off for it. I've had a full pre-season with them. We changed a bit of the personnel, and we've got some more of the academy kids coming through, which is good. We've got a nice blend of age, youth, and then mid-20s that I'm happy with. So we've got a better assault on it this year.
So your League One fixtures, you've got London Scholars versus North Wales, Coventry versus Newcastle, Doncaster versus Barrow, West Wales versus Hunslet, and Workington versus Keighley. And if people have not watched League One, the rugby is of a high standard and it's competitive.
It certainly is. Has been competitive for a number of years now, and you always get a surprise package too. As a team that always seems to, you don't fancy is going to do well, somehow comes to the fore and causes some problems and puts themselves in the mixer. But yeah, look, it's fantastic that we've got the coverage for the lower leagues as we do, and it's great that Betfred supports that as well, which is fantastic. So, like I said, there's still plenty of quality players and plenty of quality teams in that division that'll be striving to get themselves into the Betfred Championship, as we know with the teams in the Betfred Championship striving to get to Betfred Super League. So we've got 3 fantastic professional tiers of the competition over here, which is brilliant.
Well, hopefully we'll see some League One players in our regular feature. It's time for Try of the Week.
Hello and welcome to the Our League Try of the Week. I'm Dave Woods. Let's have a look at this week's contenders.
Try one this week just seems purely impossible. Tom Johnson with a finish in the corner that defies mathematics, physics and basic human engineering. And just to prove how impossible it is, here's another look. What a finish. Try 2, and it's the entertainment machine that is Bevan French. But Liam Farrell plays a key role in this with his break and inside pass, and French just has to sprint to the line to score. Try 3, a try that broke St Helens' hearts. This, the moment that swung the World Club Challenge the way of the Roosters. Luke Keary finishing it, but it was Siu Tokaheu who'd started with the break. A bit more international flavour to our next try as well. This one scored by Toronto against Warrington. The break down the middle from Josh McCrone showing terrific speed off the mark, and Gareth O'Brien in support against his former club to score underneath the sticks. Next, try 5 comes from the Challenge Cup tie between Widnes and Oldham. Big win for Widnes, some eye-catching tries, not the least of them, this one finished by Joe Edge. And our final try this week also comes from the Challenge Cup. Really great tussle between North Wales Crusaders and Hunslet, won at the last by Hunslet. Earlier in the game, Anthony Boardman had been in the sin bin, but then he popped up with 4 minutes left to score that try that takes Hunslet through to the next round. No wonder they're celebrating.
Every week we have 2 tickets to give away for this autumn's Ashes series. If you want to be in with a chance of winning those tickets, all you have to do is download the Our League app, vote for your favourite, and we will pick a winner. Get voting, good luck.
So please vote for the Try of the Week on the Our League app, and I think there's a good chance Tom Johnston might be winning that. What a try.
Yeah, fantastic on it.
We're used to seeing that from Tom, aren't we? Absolutely outstanding. You know, the way he can put the ball down, you know, in that corner and keep his body, you know, in the air. I think, for me, this is the best rule that we've ever changed in rugby league. You're being able to take the corner flag out.
It's entertaining.
It's just added another dimension for the wingers, and we see, you know, we've got a number of players in Super League who can do this. The likes of Tommy Makinson and, you know, and players like that.
Plenty of them.
But Tom Johnson is one
of the best of the art, isn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's what it is. It's become an art now, isn't it? Like, it is now part of, these wingers now, they are specifically training to finish in certain ways, to manipulate their body in certain ways to get those tries in. And when you watch it back, you just think that is absolutely ridiculous. How has he managed to do that? How has he managed to get his body and have that air time and hang time and manage to... You just think, what? It's crazy, but it's amazing to watch. And as you rightly said, it's such great entertainment. And when you see some of those quality finishes, like even as a coach or even as a spectator or a fan, it really does give you a buzz, because you just think, wow, that is sensational. And it was nothing short of sensational with Tom Johnson there.
Just great to see Tom Johnson back as well.
Yeah,
he had a horrendous 2019 with that knee injury, and he's a player who we want to see.
I think there's a good chance that Tom will be winning. In my opinion, it's up to you to vote. And we'll be bringing our vote back next week for Coach of the Month, because incredibly, on Sunday, it's the 1st of March. Where is the year going? Now, in the early hours of Sunday, well, we witnessed one hell of a fight, didn't we? Tyson Fury versus Deontay Wilder. Stopped in the 7th round. Well, Tyson arrived in Manchester today, and this is what he said after his big fight win.
Tyson, how do you feel to be coming home as a champion again?
Everybody knows I'm a master slick boxer and I can jab and move around the ring for 12 rounds. But that didn't work last time. I got a draw. Like I said, a draw is a failure to me, because all I do is win, win, win. And this time I wanted the knockout, and I think the only way I could guarantee that I was going to get a win was the knockout. So when me and Sugar Hill spoke, he told me that I would knock him out, and I believed in what he said. And also Andy Lee here, he told me that we'd knock him out as well, and we worked to a game plan in the gym, and we put it into practice in the ring.
So we were very, very proud to sponsor that fight. Right then, Scully, did you push on through? Did you stay up all night?
I didn't push through, because I was doing Sky, so I managed to avoid the beers on the Saturday. So I got up for the fight, and what a fight it was, worth every penny.
He was brilliant, Fury, wasn't he? I mean, completely surprised us in the end, didn't he?
Yeah.
Not that he won.
No surprise that he won. I think the style that he went, to take it and be to take the front foot against somebody like Wilder, everyone thought, will he just try and box and stay out the way? And he certainly didn't. He led with that jab and to put Wilder on the floor. He's never been put on the floor, twice throughout the fight, and there was only one winner in that fight.
Incredible fight.
Oh, incredible fight, but more importantly, an incredible story. You look at the story behind it. The journey this man has been on. It is. I just find it an amazing story. Where he's come from, to what he lost, to what he was suffering as well. Obviously with his mental health, and then to somehow come through the other side, and then get to this stage now where he's now world champion. It's just an amazing and incredible story, so inspiring. And I think for Tyson to achieve what he's achieved is nothing short of remarkable. And like you said, I'm sure he's going to leave a legacy for people and inspire people. And I'm proud of the man. I don't know the man, but I'm proud of what he's done and how he's come through.
I think there's a lesson for everybody there. I've been watching the video over the last couple of days. The one where he set off on his first ever run. I think 10 stone heavier. Yeah. And thanking Deontay Wilder for giving him the drive to do that. And that was back in 2017. Yeah. And then you look at what he did. You look at the condition, and so if anybody wants to take any inspiration in achieving something, he's your man.
Next fight, why don't we do a show from Vegas, yeah? Is that all right?
Let's do it.
Be able to get out. You work at Warrington for the week, is that all right?
Let's do it. I'll just go on the sick leave.
Gents, thanks for joining us. Good luck against Leeds at the weekend as well. You've been watching the Last Tackle. We're back next week. And just remember, if you're having a bet on rugby league this weekend, please only ever gamble where you can afford to lose. See you next week. Be lucky.
He can! Toronto are heading for Super League!
2019 Betfred World Super League champions, the Leeds Rhinos.